सर्वभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge, text number 7. सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम् सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजामि अहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम्
कल्पक्षय पुनस्तानि
कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्
कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्. Online? सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम् कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि
कल्पादौ
विसृजाम्यहम्. सर्वभूतानि कौन्तेय प्रकृतिं यान्ति मामिकाम् कल्पक्षये पुनस्तानि कल्पादौ विसृजाम्यहम्. Synonyms: सर्वभूतानि
सर्वभूतानि
all created entities.
all created entities
कौन्तेय
कौन्तेय
O son of Kunti.
O son of Kunti
Prakritim
Prakritim
nature.
nature
Yanti
Yanti
enter.
enter
Mamikam
Mamikam
my.
my
Kalpakshaye
Kalpakshaye
at the end of the millennium.
at the end of the millennium
Punaha
Punaha
again.
again
Tani
Tani
all those. Kalpa ado
Kalpado
in the beginning of the millennium.
in the beginning of the millennium
Vishrajami
Vishrajami
create. Aham
Aham
I. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Translation: O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, every material manifestation enters into my nature. And at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I again create. Translation with repetition. O son of Kunti,
O son of Kunti,
at the end of the millennium,
at the end of the millennium,
every material manifestation
every material manifestation
enters into my nature.
enters into my nature,
And at the beginning of another millennium,
and at the beginning of another millennium,
by my potency,
by my potency,
I again create.
I again create.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.
The creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material cosmic manifestation is completely dependent on the supreme will of the personality of Godhead. At the end of the millennium means at the death of Brahma. Brahma lives for 100 years, and his one day is calculated at 43 million years of our earthly years. His night is of the same duration. His month consists of 30 such days and nights, and his year of 12 months. After 100 such years, when Brahma dies, the devastation or annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifested by the Supreme Lord is again wound up in himself. Then again, when there is need to manifest the cosmic world, it is done by his will. Although I am one, I shall become many. This is the Vedic aphorism. He expands himself in this material energy, and the whole cosmic manifestation again takes place. Thus ends the wonderful transcendental Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So based on what we read just now, till one point, millennium, millennium, okay, millennium is there, that is, at least that is correct. What is millennium? What did we read? Okay, maybe we'll come back to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll give you some bonus marks. Good. Same thing. Okay, repeat. Okay. 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 बच गया आपका ये सहारा लेके. That's anyway. Very good. That was the translation. Mahatattva? Okay. Anybody online? Anything you heard which struck?
This aphorism from Shastras, it is said, although
Eko Bahushyam. I become many. Okay? Ankit? Srinidhi Mataji? Yeah. No problem. Srinidhi Mataji?
Prabhu, I could not, the voice was not that clear, Prabhu.
I was displaying that though.
Yeah.
Okay. Who else is there? Brajesh? Yes, there. Uma Mataji? No. Okay. See, basically what happens is, sometimes when we take these words of Krishna, we take them very lightly. Right? Because we are busy with our own lives, our own problems, our own thoughts. And in the midst of that, when we come and attend the classes, we have a desire that it should help, but our action doesn't align with our desire because of lot of problems, lot of disturbances, lot of difficulties. So the verses after verses we have, this also becomes a formality. Now this is which verse? Verse number 7. That means 6 verses are gone. Right? Now if I ask, I don't want to. Right? I know what will happen if I ask. But if I ask, if anything you remember from the past 6 verses, at least you are there on Sundays, right? Mostly on Sundays you are there, most Sundays. If not all 6 verses, you would have definitely heard 3 verses, right? Maybe the last Sunday you were not there, okay. It was taken by Balram Prabhu, but you were there on Saturday, which I think he took, right? We didn't have, we had Kirtan Sandhya, okay. Whatever, whenever you had. Do you remember anything from the past thing? What is the title of this chapter? Online also you can answer if you want to. Supreme confidential knowledge. You want to rely on him, whatever he says, or it is the most confidential knowledge. Okay. Now, why I'm asking is, it's not like one should feel, oh, I don't know so much. I should curse myself. What is this? This is not the point. The point is, we can attend as many classes as we want. But if we really want the heart transformation to happen, there is some effort which is required from our side. And that effort that is required is not a very big thing. It is just being attentive, at least for 1 hour. It's already 7:50 by the time we finish chanting. 7:50, another by 8:30 we end our classes. And this becomes a mechanical or a ritual kind of a thing in our life, mechanical process. We hear, but we don't go into the depth of this. So since we don't go into the depth of this, those knowledge remains mystery. That's why I'm asking, what is it? This is considered to be the most confidential knowledge. Not just confidential knowledge, the most. Why is it the most confidential knowledge? Why our acharyas are telling this is the most confidential knowledge? What is it that is there in this chapter which is different from the previous chapter? I should ask myself. I should inquire within. What is it? Why it is? The reason is knowledge is, there is something which is revealed, which is not revealed previously, and to receive this knowledge, we need to have certain mindset. That's why in the beginning, the 9th chapter, 1st verse, idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave. Krishna says, idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave yad gyantva mokshase asubhat. When you know this, all these material miseries, whatever you are tormenting with, that you will be freed from. But he is telling, idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshami anasuyave. I am going to tell this knowledge which is considered to be guhyatamam. Guhyatara guhyatamam, because you are anasuyave, because you are very non-envious to me. That is a very important thing. Actually, That factor of envy which comes in our heart makes us clouded to even receive this knowledge. Few days back when we were celebrating Ram Navami, right? There was that verse that we were chanting, Purusho Rama Charitam, Purusho Rama Charitam, Shravanayan Upadharayan, Amshrasya Paro Rajan, Karma Bandhan Vimuchyate. That Ansramsya, that word Ansramsya used was, one will become free from the disease of envy. Purusho Rama Charitam, Shravanayan Upadharayan, Ansramsya Paro Rajan, Karma Bandhan Vimuchyate. Ansramsya, it's a disease. It is not some dirty thing which is there in the heart. It's a disease, and that disease is the root cause why we are here. And that disease is such a powerful disease. There are some diseases which happen, the effect of those diseases you will not be able to see. I mean, it is not, the symptoms are not very well manifested. Like some of the diseases, they are decaying you. They are autoimmune. What is that disease they say? Autoimmune. Autoimmune disease. So your immunity is going down, but you have no idea. The chronic disease of this material bhavaroga, which is primarily based on this envy inside us, it doesn't allow us to feel or experience that we are decaying or we are going in a path of destruction. We are actually getting finished. We don't get that. It's a very, very complicated disease. So he's telling Purusho Rama Charitam, Shravanayan Upadharayan, Anshramsya Paro Rajan, O Rajan, O King, this disease of envy in the heart will go. Anshramsya Paro Rajan, Karma Bandhan Vimuchan. Not just that, you'll become free from this bondage of fruitive activities. How powerful these are. So that is why when we pay attention, there is a mystical power which comes out of it. There is a magical power which comes. These verses are powerful. What it requires is little attention. And when we see it, when we come together, not just being passive, not just thinking something else during this class, or not, then going back and regretting, oh, I could not pay attention. If we just pay attention, even for that 30-40 minutes, we will learn something which will help us so much. That will help us, have our conviction stronger in taking to this path of Krishna consciousness. I can go on talking about it, but these are all facts. What is required is just submissive hearing and attention. During this time, nothing else should happen. Neither in our mind, even if somebody is joining online, people just join, just for the sake of joining. They dial in, but nothing goes. They're busy doing something else. Maybe something is going on in the backdrop. So this becomes a habit. And that habit is only detrimental to us, because it is not a formality. You don't have to just come and sit here and just go back. No, you have to pay attention, make the session count. You should get that what Krishna is trying to say. Let us see this verse. I can just give a context of how this verse has come so beautifully. It may look like, Krishna is repeating or what? Why these verses are coming similar? There is a lot of very finer things which are there. Let's pay attention to this verse. I'm telling you, if you pay attention, you will remember at least this verse for the rest of your life. I can guarantee you. Let's see this verse. So it's saying, Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakritim Yanti Mamikam Kalpakshaye Punastani Kalpado Vishrajami Aham. If you read this verse, and if I ask you now some of you just mentioned what is there in the translation, you will be able to say this. But when you take any verse, be it whether it is from Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, and you want to understand this, what is this? And since this is in the middlemost chapter and is entitled as the most confidential knowledge, I should be very careful and attentive to see what is Krishna trying to say. Is there any difference in what he has said earlier, or is it just the same thing? So you have to see the translation which Prabhupada has written and look at the translation where it is there in this verse. So very beautifully, if you just break this, I'll help you with this, you see how powerful this verse is. So let me ask you, pay attention to that verse and tell me, what is Krishna addressing Arjuna here as? Kaunteya. Very good. So keep that word Kaunteya aside, because this word Kaunteya is the object. Krishna is talking to Arjuna. But Arjuna is specifically addressed here as Kaunteya because he is son of Kunti, right? That's very clear. Sarva bhutani Kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshay punastani kalpado vishrajamyaham. Now if you really want to understand, if you read the translation few times, which you should do as an exercise to appreciate the verses, you will see Krishna in this verse is talking about two things. One, he is talking about two phenomenon, kalpakshaya, and he is talking about kalpado. Two different things. It's very easy to remember this verse if you break it down. Kalpakshaya and kalpado. What is kalpakshaya? Okay. End of the kalpa. And kalpado? At the beginning. Beginning of kalpa and at the end of kalpa. These are the two things which are talked about in this verse. Kalpakshaya, kalpado. So he is telling what is happening in kalpakshaya. First thing. Sarva bhutani, the first word here, sarva bhutani, mamikam prakritim yanti. So it is little, the poetry, if you have to break it down to prose, you have to change the order. Sarva bhutani, all living entities, mamikam, unto me, prakritim yanti, they enter into me, they enter into my nature. What is the exact translation? Every material manifestation enters into my nature. So sarva bhutani mamikam prakritim yanti. Mamikam is entering into me. Sarva bhutani, all living entities, mamikam, they enter into me, prakritim yanti, my nature. They enter into my unmanifested nature. And what is happening at kalpado? So when the kalpakshaya is happening, all these living entities are entering into my nature. Kalpado, again when the kalpa is beginning, what is happening is tani aham punas vishrujami. Tani, to them, tani is referring to that sarva bhutani, all those living entities, aham punas vishrujami. Vishrujami is to create. Aham punah vishrujami. I again create them. What is the word that Prabhupada is using? I again create. Vishrujami. Shrujana is to create. Vishrujami. Is it clear? What are the two things which are mentioned? And kalpado. Kalpakshaya and kalpado. And kalpakshaya, what is happening? Sarva bhutani mamikam prakritim yanti. All living entities enter into my nature. Sarva bhutani mamikam prakritim yanti. Kalpado tani aham punas vishrujami. Who have entered into me, I again create them back. Vishrujami. Tani aham punas vishrujami. This is the verse. Now, when you break this verse as per the translation, and when you see this and you have got this thing, before you proceed, you should ask how this verse has come. Now, if you see, if you have read, or if you go back and read the first 6 verses that we have already discussed, this is the 7th verse. Can you tell me any word that had struck you in the first 6 verses? Anything. You don't have to think a lot in the first 6 verses of 9th chapter. If it doesn't strike, doesn't strike. Ashradhadhana, okay, that was in the 3rd verse, right? A person who is faithless, he will not be able to make progress in this spiritual path. But there is one word which is used 3 times in the previous verses. Same word. Anybody online knows? Online anyway, they are just passive. Online? There is a word which Krishna uses, which is there in 3rd, 4th and 5th verse. Matsthani. Matsthani sarva bhutani. Matsthani. So he says, the 3rd verse, very interesting to note all these things. 3rd verse is, 4th verse is telling, Maya datam idam sarvam jagat avyakta murtina matsthani sarva bhutani nachaham teshu avasthitaha. So Maya datam idam sarvam, actually I am pervading in this entire universe, jagat avyakta murtina, in my unmanifested energy. Matsthani sarva bhutani, everybody is resting on me. Nachaham teshu avasthita, but I am not in them. Then he is telling, Nachamatstani bhutani, exact contradiction. Matsthani bhutani, Nachamatstani bhutani. Again, Matsthani is there. So then the 6th verse is telling, Yathakasa sthito nityam vayu sarvato go mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani iti upadharaya. Actually, the last verse was very powerful verse, very, very powerful analogy which Krishna is given. Suppose, I am telling you, I am going to take care of you. Whenever you are coming to temple, I will take care of your prasadam. ठीक है, बोल दिया तो खुश हो गया. Then she is also present there. But when I talk to her, and when you are also there next to him, I will tell, when you come to temple, I will not take care of your prasadam. So what do you understand? Is it like for me, Krishna is not going to take care, and for him, I mean, for someone, somebody is going to take care, and for someone, he's not going to take care? And then he's telling, Pashyam yoga aishwaryam. This, behold my yogic opulence, Krishna says. Behold my mystic opulence. The contradictions, apparent contradictions, can simultaneously exist in the Lord without any this thing. So this has to be understood. Prabhupada gives one beautiful example. He has given 2-3 lectures, but they're very, very beautiful. This context, if you remember, you can appreciate this verse, even though this verse is very simple. Prabhupada's example is, imagine you go to a Ford factory. Suppose the Ford factory has invited you to visit their factory, and you go there. So you visit, there are different sections. It's an assembly line. So some places, different parts of the car are coming and they're getting assembled and they're going. Actually, it's a line which goes, and then somewhere, the axle will come, the wheel will come, and then something seats will come, and then the body will come, the chassis will come, and like that, it will come out as the final product. And there are different departments who are doing different things. You go to different department, you find there are photos of Ford. Right? The Ford, who's the owner of Ford company, is all pervasive. Everywhere in Ford company, you'll find his logo, you'll find his photo, you'll find everywhere he's present. But is really, if you want to meet Ford, can you find him in that way? He has an office, or maybe he has his house. If you want to meet him, he's sitting there in that place. Similarly, the Lord is pervading through his energies. He's there everywhere. We saw in 7th chapter, what is that? Bhumirapo nalavayu kham manabuddhirevacha ahankara itiyam mein bhinna prakriti rashtadha. Through his external separated energy, he's all pervading. It is all his creation. It is coming out of his. But he's not in them. Though it is his energy, he's aloof. He's there somewhere else. So, but the important thing which is used, I mean, if you give me time, I can go on talking about that word Matsthani. So beautifully Prabhupada and our Acharyas have explained. It's an important word which we have to pay attention, because that analogy which is given, that wind in the sky, will make much more sense when we understand that Matsthani. But just for the time being, for our knowledge sake, what it is saying is that Lord is going to take care of all the living entities. Matsthani means I take care of all the living entities. Now, the Lord spoke about taking care of the living entities, which is one part of the creation. What about Kalpakshaya and Kalpado? What about destruction and creation? That you have not mentioned before. So he is talking about here that thing called Kalpakshaya and Kalpado. When creation, what happens during creation and what happens during annihilation? Are you all there? We will revise this again. So Matsthani was clear. Okay, now we spoke about Kalpakshaya and Kalpado, which he is talking about here. Gopala, you have to also pay attention. I'll come back to you also. You can't leave. Now, very interestingly, if you have come this far, what is the next thing that we should ask ourselves? What is a Kalpa? What is Kalpakshaya? Anybody knows what is Kalpakshaya? Prabhupada has explained in the purport, but we will see this little closely, because some of these things need to go in our mind, because we think this is some Kalpakshaya, I don't understand, this language is not familiar, then we don't make further progress in our spiritual life. That's why all this, finer points, if you pay attention, you'll feel good within. Your conviction to learn and to understand becomes stronger. What is Chaitanya, what is our Chaitanya Charitamrita says? Siddhanta boliye jiva nakaro alas. Iha hoite chitta lage sudrudha vishwas. Siddhanta boliye chitta nakaro alas. When it comes to Siddhanta, philosophical conclusions, don't be lazy. Understand it. Try to find out. If you didn't understand, ask question. I need to understand what is this. Siddhanta boliye chitta nakaro alas. Iha hoite chitta lage sudrudha vishwas. So when you do that, if you do that, then chitta conviction becomes strong, and automatically the mind will get absorbed in Krishna. It's very powerful. So what is Kalpaksha? Actually, if I put it without a lot of mystery, we all know this, right? The duration of Kali Yuga is 4,32,000 years. Tretya Yuga is 8,64,000, which is double of this. Dwapara Yuga is triple of this, which is 12,96,000. And Satya Yuga is 4 times of this, so 17,28,000. Total, if you do, it is 43,20,000 years. What is this? Is it Kalpa? Hmm? Kalpa? End of kalpa, kalpakshaya. श्रेय थोड़ा सोच रहा है, इसमें दम नहीं लग रहा है, शायद डिफरेंट आंसर देता हूँ. What is this? This is one kalpa. Okay, let's say online. 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 What is end of yugas? What is it? How is it related to kalpa?
Seven Mahayugas is one kalpa.
1000?
One kalpa is 14 Mahayugas.
14 mahayugas. Okay.
4.32 billion years ago.
Billion years. What is that? Explain, Mataji.
True? Yes, true.
Yeah, explain that.
4.32 billion years ago.
You see, why we have confusion or why we are not able to get that is because we have not paid attention to this. We have heard this many times. 14 Mahayugas. Somewhere some things are there. Some things we hear, or it is one day of Brahma. Like that, we have got different misconceptions. We don't pay attention to this. If you pay attention, very simple. One kalpa is equal to, is it Brahma's one day or one night? Which is it? It's just question. One day? Okay. What about his one night? That is also another kalpa. You're right. You're right. No. 1 day is 24 hours. So that 1 day of Brahma, that half a day, whatever that is, from sunrise to sunset, is also one kalpa. And again, sunset to sunrise is another kalpa. So one kalpa is half a day of Brahma. And that half a day of Brahma has got 1000 Divya Yugas. How many Divya Yugas? And what one Divya Yuga is? What is the total I have got here? 43 lakhs 20,000 years. So if you multiply that by 1000, that becomes one kalpa. Is it clear? Is it clear? Ask. Yeah. So half a day of Brahma is called one kalpa. हम उसको बोलते हैं दिन खत्म हो गया, right? That is also a kalpa. Then रात चालू हो गया. That is also a kalpa. So in if you say the 24 hours of Brahma's time, which is 1 day from sunrise to next sunrise, 2 kalpas are there. Clear? So one kalpa is 1000 into this total Divya Yugas, because in 1 day of Brahma, this Divya Yugas come 1000 times. One Satya Tritya Dwapara Kali, one Satya Tritya Dwapara Kali, like that it comes 1000 times. So 1000 into 43,200, you'll get this, whatever that is the duration, that is one kalpa of Brahma. Now what is a Mahakalpa? 1000 times कर लिया अभी, करके हमने एक कल्पा में आया. अभी महाकल्पा क्या है? What is a Mahakalpa? Okay, you don't know, that's fine. One Mahakalpa is 1 day of Brahma, which is means 43 20,000 into 1000 if you do, plus the 43 20,000 and 1000, it will become this number, whatever it is. That is 1 day of Brahma into 360. 360 number of days. See, 1 day of Brahma. We said 1 day of Brahma has got 2 kalpas. 2 kalpas is how much? 1000 into 43,200, whatever, 43 lakhs 20,000 into 2, isn't it? Yes? Yes or no? Yes? नहीं गया है. हाथ हंसी से पता चल रहा है नहीं गया है. क्या है बताओ? हाँ. Half a day. Is 1 day, one complete day. Huh. That is correct. So what is Mahakalpa? Huh. Correct. 1000 into 1000 नहीं, वो जो भी है तुम्हारा दिव्य युगा into 1000 करने से एक duration you got it. Then again into 2. Yeah. Two these things are 2 kalpas into 360. That is one Mahakalpa, which is 1 year of Brahma. Brahma lives for 30 days, 12 months, so that becomes 1 year of Brahma, which is called one Mahakalpa. So when you, so that if you multiply, you will get some number like this, very huge number, and multiply that by 100. Brahma lives for 100 years. So one Kalpa, one Mahakalpa is 1 year of Brahma, and if you multiply that by 100, you get Brahma's full lifespan. Is it clear? Very good. So if you got this much, so this clarity has to be there. Now imagine, this is the fabulous lifespan of Brahma. 100 years, how much can you even think of? What's 30, 40 years, we feel like half the age is gone. We'll become old, and then some disease will come and we will be gone, over, finished. But this is the fabulous lifespan of Brahma. One thing why we should learn this very, very closely, paying attention, is, often in our life, small problems make a very big thing in our life. But if you see this entire, what fabulous lifespan of Brahma is nothing but a breathing of Mahavishnu. He breathes in and breathes out. In that, Brahma's lifespan is over. That's all it is. Mahavishnu's lifespan, Mahavishnu is so great. There is one place where Prabhupada says, this is the opulence of Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is lying. And when we lie, what comes out of our body is all obnoxious things. But when Mahavishnu lies in his lying, she is Karanodaka Shai Vishnu, and from his pores creation is coming out. Sai, he's lying, he's sleeping. In his sleep only, Yoga Nidra, in that this creation is coming out. So Brahma's lifespan, which looks like fabulous, is nothing compared to Mahavishnu. And looking our problems in this tiny, chota life, 100 years that we have, when we think so big, what is this lifespan? But we make it such a big thing in our life. That is one thing which you have to pay attention. Now, very interestingly, when you talk about destruction, how many kinds of destructions are there? Do you know anything? One kind of annihilation. Khatam kar diya. Two kinds of, better. Badha do number. 3, 4. Actually, you will be surprised. I mean, we sometimes think that probably this information somewhere here and there in some purport or somewhere we will find. But there is a chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam which talks about types of universal annihilation. It's in the 12th canto, 4th chapter. And there are 4 kinds of annihilation. The first one is called Nirantara Pralaya, or constant annihilation. You know what is constant annihilation? Are you going to get younger day by day, by any chance? Or you can preserve your bodily beauty, luster? Nobody, right? Every single day we are getting older. Our hair will become grey. हो गया already. चला जाएगा कुछ तो. कुछ लोगों का जाता थोड़ा late है, but whatever it is, it will go and it will become, you'll become old, and the body also will deteriorate. One day we will die. This is called constant annihilation, Nirantara Pralaya. This is the material world, Dukkhalayam Asaswatam. Asaswatam, that word, you keep a flower garland for the Lord for some time. After a few days, it becomes dry, it is over, and you have to remove it. Nothing in this world remains permanently in the youthful state or in a very nice state. That is called the constant pralaya, Nirantara Pralaya. Second one is called occasional pralaya or Naimitika Pralaya. Now, mind you, I told you about Brahma's one day and then one night. So, the night of Brahma sleeps. So, there is a pralaya which happens where the water goes up to certain extent, and that is called occasional pralaya. It doesn't go all the way till the Satyaloka, but it comes till Swargaloka or some part, some higher planetary system. It goes, so it gets submerged in water. That kind of an annihilation is called partial annihilation or Naimitika Pralaya. There is a third one which is called material Pralaya or Prakritika Pralaya. Prakritika Pralaya happens when Brahma dies. 100 years of Brahma is over. That is final destruction. Everything will be submerged. Full thing is over. Brahma is dead. Brahma is gone. That is called Prakritika Pralaya. And then there is a final Pralaya that is also mentioned called Atyantika Pralaya. This Atyantika Pralaya is a very interesting thing. In this Pralaya, when the illusion of the living entity is finished, because of that illusion, I started with that disease of envy, the Bhavaroga, which has affected us so deeply that we are here in this material world and we don't understand our position. When we finish that disease completely, that disease is completely removed, you have completely cured, you go back home, back to Godhead. Natad bhasayate suryo na sasankana pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Once you come to that my abode of, Krishna says, once you come to my abode, there is no coming back. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. So that final journey of each living entity, each soul who's trapped in this material body because of the disease, when he makes that final destruction of that disease happens, that is called the final or Atyantika Pralaya. Is it clear? What is the first one? Oh, what is it? Very good. Very good. Second one? When Brahma sleeps, you're right. When in the night, every day in the night, the water will go here. And yeah, it is not complete destruction of the material world. Third one? How can you forget? Okay, who wants to help? Very good. When Brahma dies after 100 years, everything is annihilated. What is the fourth one? Yeah. Breaks away the disease, comes out of this, becomes completely cured of this disease, he goes back home, back to Godhead. So which is the annihilation which is talked about in this Kalpakshaya? Question for you. If you know the answer, raise your hand. No. And nahi hai. Only one. Okay. Yes, that's the right answer. Material. Prakritika Pralaya. Bhagavad Gita 9.7 is talking about the time when Brahma's life is coming to an end. Kalpakshaya, that final destruction when Brahma is dead and gone, that final destruction, what happens at that time? Sarva bhutani mamikam. Sarva bhutani mamikam. They come back to me, they enter into my body. Doesn't mean that we merge with the Lord and then our existence becomes over. No, we remain there for a very long time. And then again, when there is a Brahma comes, we come out of the Vishrajamyaham. Then the Lord again, brings out this living entities whose disease is still not cured, who has got still unfulfilled desire to enjoy this material world. They come out. So what happens when you remain in that body of Mahavishnu? What happens? Actually, those material desires still remain within us. And in that supta, in that sleeping state, they become solidified, some things change and this thing, and based on all those permutation combinations, whatever it is, again the jiva comes out. And again we accept this body, again we go through this. Anadi karma phale divanisi hiyajvale. Anadi karma. I don't know for how long we have been stuck in this material world. Krishna doesn't want us to suffer here. Krishna has no intention. He doesn't want. He wants us to come back. That is why, the last verse that we had, we were talking about the will of the Lord. Because Krishna wants to have this creation has come about. By Krishna's will, all this sun is rising, the wind is blowing, the moon is rising, everything is happening because he has entered into this material world. As in every atom he is there as the Paramatma. In our heart he is there. We are able to animate, these things are floating. Everything is happening because the Lord is there. But what is the will of the Lord? The will of the Lord is Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam shranam braja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyam mokshayishyami ma sucha. Don't worry, come back. But that will of the Lord we don't want to align. Why? Because we have the disease. Disease of what? Disease of envy. Disease of what? Disease of enjoying. Ichha dvesha samuthena. As long as we are not aligning ourselves with the will of the Lord, we are struggling. We are rotting in this material world with this disease, and the struggle for existence is continuing. Lord's will, Lord doesn't want us to suffer because we have created this huge credit of karma. So much of sinful activities in this account of karma is growing. We're not able to come out of it. What is the verse of Bhagavad Brahma Samhita which says karma will be burnt? Yes. Karmani nirdahati kintu bhakti bhaja. Yasto indra gopam athavendra salokam. Give me a search for 5.44, I think. Yasto indra gopam athas. That verse is a very powerful verse. All of us are stuck here because of our previous karma account. But karmani nirdahati kintu bhakti bhajam. But if you take up this process of devotion, if you surrender to the Lord, all your karma seeds are burnt. You got it? What is that? That is the third line.
Jastu indra gopam athavendra aho swakarma
Uh,
bandhanurupa phala bhajanam atnoti karmani nirdahati
Kintu
kintu cha
bhakti.
bhakti bhajam
Govindam Adi Purusham. Bandhanurupa. We are stuck and bound by the different fruitive activities that we are doing, and we are not sure what to do. But imagine if if there is a mango seed, that gutli, if you burn it and then put it in the soil, it will not fructify anymore. There is no more sprout of anything which will happen. Same thing happens when we take up to this process of devotion, when we surrender, when we align ourselves to Krishna's plan. All this karmani nirdahati, they will be completely burned in our lives. So here he is talking about that kalpakshaya, when this entire living entities are entering into this material world, and again when that kalpa adau, when he is doing Vishrajami, that portion he is talking about here in this verse. But you may say, okay, what is the big deal? Why should I know this? Because it's a huge time that we have to struggle. We have to remain in the body, again come out and go through this, again this painful process. How do we come out of it? Very interestingly, does anybody know there is any verse in Bhagavad Gita which can directly talk about this annihilation and creation, and one can get liberated from that? Did you understand the question? Did you hear the question? Any verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says that you will not go through this annihilation and creation, you will come back to me? Directly, there is a verse in 14th chapter, 2nd verse. Very nice verse. You can repeat after me. Idam jnanam upashritya
Idam jnanam upashritya
mama sadharmyam agataha
mama sadharmyam agataha
sargepi nopajayante
sarge api nopajayante
pralaya na vyathanti cha.
pralaye na vyathanti cha.
Very nice verse. Idam jnanam upashrityam. When we take shelter of this transcendental knowledge, this knowledge which Krishna has given, idam jnanam upashritya mamasa dharmyam agata. Our nature within will transform to the nature of the Lord. Mamasa dharmyam agata. We will become like the Lord. Mamasa dharmyam agataha. Sargepi nopajayante. When there is a creation which is happening, we will not take birth. Pralaya na vyathanti cha. Not there will be any destruction when there is pralaya. This is what exactly we are talking about. Sarge is Vishrajami. When he is saying Vishrajami, pralaya is when there is annihilation. So the verse is, by becoming fixed in this knowledge, one can attain to the transcendental nature, which is like my own nature. Thus established, one is not born at the time of creation, nor disturbed at the time of dissolution. Kalpakshaya, kalpado. Nor you are neither born in time of creation, nor you are annihilated at the time of dissolution. So that is why this knowledge has to go. We have to take this knowledge very, very strongly. Then only we can come out of it. We can come out of this cycle of birth and death. Now, to conclude our time together, so far, if you have paid attention, I want to just draw this thing, and then we will close with that. Okay, I've kept this thing empty. Very nice. Okay, now this is the final summary of what we just discussed. Okay, you recently bought a car, right? You bought or you bought? Who bought? You bought. Which one? Honda HRV. Okay, you've driven that today? Okay, you drove. Now, when you bought the car, was it a first-hand or as a second-hand car? First-hand car or a new car? Now, just hypothetically, you have bought some old cars, right? Second-hand cars. When you are buying a second-hand car, what do you see in the car? We have also bought mostly second-hand cars. So what do you see in the car? It's driving okay. How do you see that? Test drive. How do you do a test drive? I mean, you take the car and you go, and then you see what? Any noises of the engine, okay? Noises of the engine. What else do you see? No. Mileage, okay. What else? Hari? Previous accidents. Maintenance cost. How will you know that? How? Okay. Market research, okay. Right. Maintenance costs. What else? How do you know the maintenance costs? If you look at the body of the car, right? You know the body, how it is. You look below, you look this thing, and if you find it is rusted, it is overused, the axle or the tire is looking loose, you will not buy that car, right? Similarly, you see this one analogy, if you take it, I'm telling you, this will help you always to stay steady in your devotional life. This car is compared to our journey that we are taking in this material world to reach to the Supreme Lord. As I said, the first thing is the body of the car. The body of the car is actually representing something called what we should do in our life. And that what is nothing but devotional service. So first thing you have to see is that the body is nice. There are people whom you will find, they do a lot of devotional service. They're running. Every time they're running. I want to do service. Kya hai? Kuch bolo. And you tell them, and then again they have dispersed. Again they will come and they will do something, and they're so passionate. They just want to do something. They just want to engage in some devotional service. But only body, is it enough for the car to run properly? You said about the noises of the engine. I need to know this part of the engine, how it is. I mean, if the engine is all right, if the engine oil is properly there and engine is maintained well or not. Otherwise, it makes noise, you can't drive. So engine represents the important thing in our life, the how, or this is called swadhyaya. Swadhyaya, or the self-study. What happens is, just engaging in devotional service just because I have heard somewhere something and I have been convinced about it is not enough. I need to spend time in reading about self-knowledge, swa-adhyaya. I need that transcendental knowledge to remain in the right track. Without that transcendental knowledge going inside, my taste for devotional service is a matter of time when it will die down. I will not get any devotion. Even people don't understand that hearing Bhagavatam class is a devotional service. They run away to do something else. Something else is more important for them because they don't know the value of Swadhyaya. That is why it is not that they have to be blamed. They don't know that how important Swadhyaya is. When Swadhyaya in our life is going down, matter of time when we will stop devotional service. So the first thing is the devotional service, which is the seva aspect. Then there is Swadhyaya aspect. But these two are not enough. You need to have another thing. There is a small component in the car which is there in the form of a steering wheel. Imagine if the steering wheel is jammed. Engine is good. Body is also very nice. But the steering wheel, when you're trying to drive, it is going in this way or it is going in that way, and you'll have accident. You'll not have a smooth drive. That steering wheel which is there is called our spiritual practices, or in other words, called sadhana. So if somebody does this three things properly, pays attention to all these three things, sadhana, swadhyaya and seva. Here right now what we were seeing is swadhyaya, the knowledge about the self, knowledge about this creation, knowledge about Krishna, knowledge about annihilation. This is required. This is required for me to go in the right direction. The engine to function properly, I have to feed this. This feeding, if it is not done, only doing devotional service is not enough. Somebody may be doing some nice seva and he is also doing swadhyaya, but he is not paying attention to sadhana. He is not careful about it. He is not taking care of the sadhana. Then the smooth direction will not come. He will go somewhere else. His attention will get diverted to some humanitarian cause or something, and he'll go away. That sadhana is very important. Coming up in the morning, chanting, attending Mangalarati, rigidly, regularly has to be done. Then the direction will be, otherwise instead of going in this direction to Krishna, you will go somewhere else. The direction will change. Somebody is doing nice sadhana, somebody is doing swadhyaya, he's reading, but no seva, no service. Then what will happen? He'll become an armchair philosopher. Everything you tell them, they will find some other reason, some other justifications for not doing. Devotional service is a must. One has to, if one has to realize this knowledge which Krishna has shared, the only way one can realize that knowledge of brain, the knowledge of mind, the knowledge of head, if it has to transform to knowledge of heart, by devotional service it is possible. But you are doing sadhana, you are doing devotional service, but no swadhyaya, then no taste. Taste will not come. You are doing your sadhana, you are coming for, you're chanting, you're doing something, you're doing also seva, but no swadhyaya. That is what happens with most of the people. 99% of the people, they don't read, they don't attend class, they don't understand the value of this, they neglect this. So they don't get the taste to come for devotional service. But when we have a proper balance of these three things, sadhana, swadhyaya and seva, the car just zooms. Zoom. It's as good as a new car. So that is why we have to pay attention. That is where I started at the beginning. And that's where I am ending. That when we pay attention to these things, attention doesn't mean that I have to sit fully like one robot and not moving my body. My mind should be absorbed. I should figure out what is it. When you look these verses very closely, lot of gems and secrets will be revealed. But when you see it superficially, nothing. Matsthani sarvabhutani, natamasthani sarvabhutani, again matsthani iti upadharaya. It will just go on like this. But when we see try to see why this verse is coming, what is this Krishna is trying to say, it will be very, very uplifting. The heart will be just filled with some kind of satisfaction, contentment. So nicely I have heard and I have understood this. That helps us to make progress in our spiritual life. That helps us to become convinced in this path. Yes, otherwise this material world is so distracting, so alluring, and so much of temptations. Oh my God, the person will become crazy. Forget about the material world, our own mind. It needs that discipline to hear. It needs that discipline to become regulated. Otherwise, only excuses for engaging in material sense gratification. Nothing else. Even if we are there in the path of devotion, it doesn't listen. But when we do these three things properly, then it's wonderful. To summarize, and then should I summarize or should I have Q&A? What do you think? We'll start with Harigopal because we asked him first. What do you think? We should summarize or we should have Q&A? Okay. Very nice. Let's see. Q&A. So what are the two... okay, I didn't go to the Kaunteya part. I have run out of time, but some other day I'll tell you why Krishna... Actually, there are commentaries of Baladev Vidyabhushan because Prabhupada has dedicated this book to Baladev Vidyabhushan. He picks out that word Kaunteya, why Krishna is using that word Kaunteya particularly in this verse. Every time, so there is... in English they say there is a language and there is a meta-language. Meta-language is a hidden meaning of every single thing. It is not the exact thing. So you have to go a little deeper. Like in one place Prabhupada explains, the word Madhusudana is used by by Arjuna here because Krishna had killed that demon named Madhu. Now there is a demon of doubt which is there in Arjuna's mind. So he's addressing Krishna as Madhusudana so that he can dispel the doubts in his mind. So there is a reason why Kaunteya is used here. Just for your information, but I'll not go into that. We will do a Q&A. Otherwise, that only will take away another 15 minutes. Online also you can participate if you want to. So the first question that is, okay, anyway, I was talking about that only. What Krishna is addressing Arjuna here as? Okay. At least one correct answer. Okay, very nice. So what are the two things which are mentioned in this verse? Kalpakshaya and Kalpado. Very good. So what is Kalpakshaya and what is Kalpado? End of millennium and the beginning of millennium. So what happens in Kalpakshaya? Enters into me, right. And Kalpado? He will again create, Vishrajamyaham. Okay. So we talked about the kalpa of Brahma, Right? So what is one kalpa of Brahma? Raise your hand online if you are there. What is one kalpa of Brahma? You don't have to give the number. How does it, what is that one kalpa? Huh. 1 day is how much? 1000 into 43 lakhs 20,000 years, right? 1000 Divya Yugas is 1 day. But one complete day will have one kalpa or two kalpas? Two kalpas. And then what is Mahakalpa? Very good. 1 year of Brahma is called one Mahakalpa. You got it right. Then what is the total duration of Brahma's life? Into multiply by 100. That is 100 years of Brahma's life as per our earthly calculation. If you pay attention to the Swasti Vachana that we have, usually Brahma's life is divided into Parardhe. Para-ardhe. Ardhe is half. So, 50 years of Brahma's life is called Prathama Parardhe, and the next 50 years is called Dvitiya Parardhe. So right now, Brahma's second half is going on. 51st year is going on. Dvitiya Parardhe. If you pay attention to the Swasti, everything is linked, related. They are not कुछ ऐसे ही कुछ हम ऐसे ही बोल रहे हैं. They're all very, very, Vedic calculation is cyclic, right? The Vedic calculation of time. So Ditiya Parardhe, this is the second half of Brahma's life which is going on. Okay, very good. So this verse is talking about, okay, how many types of annihilations are there? Oh, first one. What is that? Our body is degrading, deteriorating, we are becoming old. Continuous. Very good, Ankit. What is the second one? Is occasional. What is that? In the night of Brahma. Partial dissolution which is happening. Very good. Third one? Material. What is that? Complete, when Brahma is dead, finished. That is what is the Kalpaksha that we are talking about, where the living entities are entering into the body of Mahavishnu. Okay. Then the final one? You don't remember the name, but if you know, you can go for it. Atyantika. What is it? What happens in that?
When we go back to God and Krishna.
Exactly. When the disease of material disease in our heart is completely destroyed, completely eradicated, we become fully cured. Imagine there is a disease that you are suffering and you become completely cured. That state of complete cure, or the state of becoming your normal person, when you go back home, you become eligible to go back home, back to Godhead, is that final destruction. Very good. So, and this verse is talking about which one? Which kind of annihilation? Material. The third one, when Brahma's, this thing is coming to an end. Then we spoke about the verse from Bhagavad Gita. Do you remember the verse number which talks about when there is a dissolution or pralaya, then these people will not enter into me, or when there is a Vishrajami, when there is a kalpa is beginning, I am not going to create them, rather they will come to me. The verse that we spoke about. Who remembers? 14.2. Very good. That's nice. So, mamasa dharmyam. So, by just taking shelter of this transcendental knowledge, one develops the same divine nature as that of the Lord. And he comes back to the Lord and doesn't get annihilated or created, whatever those two things, pralaya and kalpado. Then we spoke about what is the importance of transcendental knowledge. Just not transcendental knowledge, how is in our life, if it is compared with a car, which are the three components which are very important to pay attention. We can't neglect any one of them. Swadhyaya. Seva, sadhana and swadhyaya. Okay, anybody online, can you say what is seva? You see, this is...
Seva is a devotional service.
Okay, what is it? What part of the body is that? What part, sorry. What part of the car is that? Huh?
Body.
Okay, very good. She's answering? Okay. What is swadhyaya? Yeah, Ramya, this is answer are correct. What is swadhyaya? Knowledge of self. You're right. Knowledge of self. Right? Knowledge of self, which represents which part of the car? Engine. Okay. And what is the third aspect, which is sadhana? Steering wheel. Okay. Very good. So if you remember these three things in life, devotional service is what people ask, what should I do? What I should do in my life? Engage in devotional service. How should I do? How should I engage in devotional service? You need to have transcendental knowledge. Why should I do? That why is, the steering wheel, which is sadhana. Why you have to do? Because you have to go in, this is the human life where you can achieve that perfection of going back home, back to Godhead. So why is very important, to keep the car in the right direction, in the right destination. You should have the right destination. That's why that sadhana is required. So sadhana, swadhyaya and seva. If these three things we take care of in our life will be very nice. Any questions or comments?
So regarding Atyantika Pralaya, because not all living entities go at once to the back to Godhead.
This is individual.
So it is
Individual, as per the soul, as per every soul, the final one. More information you can find in the 12th canto, 4th chapter. Types of annihilations, types of universal annihilation.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Prabhu, I have just a quick question.
Yeah.
Prabhu, in Kalpa, there is a sequence of, let's say, Satya Yuga, Dwapar, Treta, and Kali Yuga. So, I mean, in some of the lectures, I have heard that in some of the Kalpa, that the Treta and Dwapar are, interchanged.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Only when Krishna comes in one day of Brahma. So one day of Brahma has got one day of Brahma, which is like half a day of Brahma. Only Krishna comes once. So only when Krishna comes in that Divya Yuga, Dwapara Yuga comes after Tretaya. Otherwise, Dwapara is before Tretaya Yuga, where Krishna doesn't come.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments? Will it remain? Do you think it will remain for the rest of the life? Kalpakshaya kalpado kaunteya रहेगा, थोड़ा तो रहेगा. अगर कोई पूछे 9th chapter में कुछ तो बताओ, कल्पक्षय कल्पादो तो याद है. कल्पक्षय में इधर घुसते हैं, कल्पादो again the Lord will Vishrujami. So if you pay attention, actually you can learn every verse like that. It's very interesting, very nice. And when you see them closely, the conviction to do this will increase many times. Swadhyaya helps us so much to relish, to feel that satisfaction, contentment. Then the motivation to engage in devotional service comes. We'll stop here and we will see this further. Granthra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki